We all know the great conquerors of history, from Julius Caesar and his conquest of Gaul, to Alexander the Great in Persia, and even Hannibal who terrorized Rome. These mighty leaders proved their strategic genius time and again through their spectacular battlefield exploits. But one name we often forget predates them all and hails from the desert and the cradle of civilization. This Mesopotamian leader established a sprawling empire in his lifetime, bringing city-states to their knees and spreading terror through the hearts of his enemies. This is Ancient Origins, and today we'll be recounting the incredible story of King Sargon the Great, founder of the Akkadian Empire. Subscribe for more fascinating historical videos like this one. Born in the 24th century BC, the name Sargon is said to have been a biblical translation of the Akkadian name Sharukin, which means the legitimate king. It's possible that he may have taken this name because his legitimacy was under scrutiny. Little is known about Sargon's early life, and much of his story is pieced together from myths and legends. His infancy story, for example, resembles that of the biblical Moses in that both of them were placed in reed baskets and left to float down the river. While baby Moses floated down the Nile, it's said that Sargon floated down the Euphrates. Sargon's biological father remains a mystery, and his mother is said to have been a temple priestess or perhaps a sacred prostitute of Ishtar. In any case, the future founder of the Akkadian Empire was discovered by a gardener in the service of the king Ur-Zababa of Kish. Sargon eventually became the cup-bearer of the king. For unknown reasons, the monarch felt threatened by Sargon and tried to get rid of him. We don't know who was in the wrong, but regardless, the king thought he had found a good way to eliminate Sargon when Lugal-Zaygsi, the king of the city of Umma, came to conquer Kish. Ur-Zababa sent Sargon to deliver a clay tablet to the enemy king, supposedly with a message requesting peace. Unbeknownst to Sargon, however, the tablet really contained a message requesting that the enemy monarch kill him. He was carrying his own death warrant. However, the conspiracy was foiled, though it's unclear how, and Lugal-Zaygsi instead requested that Sargon join his military campaign against the city. Sargon agreed, and together they conquered Kish and Ur-Zababa was overthrown. But it wasn't long until Sargon and his new patron became enemies. Some versions of the story even say that Sargon had an affair with the king's wife. Whatever the case may be, the two fell out and quickly turned on each other. However, ever cunning, the strategic Sargon managed to capture the city of Uruk from Lugal-Zaygsi, which was a major blow to his control of the region. He then ultimately defeated his own ally on the battlefield at Kish. To add insult to injury, Sargon tied a rope around his foe's neck and took him to the city of Nippur. There he forced Lugal-Zaygsi to humiliate himself and show the weakness of his patron god Enlil by marching through Enlil's gate. Sargon's own patron deity was Ishtar, so this act also proclaimed the superior power of his preferred goddess. A large part of Sumer was under the control of Uruk, and the defeat of Lugal-Zaygsi meant that Sargon was now the new ruler of the area from which he could launch military campaigns and expand his empire. But battles weren't the only thing on Sargon's mind. He also sought to maintain the lands under his control. To accomplish this, one of the things Sargon did was establish an efficient bureaucracy. This was achieved by placing men that he trusted in each Sumerian city to rule in his name. In the meantime, Sargon continued expanding his empire. In the east, Sargon went to war and defeated the Elamites, who inhabited what is today the western and southwestern part of Iran. In the west, Sargon conquered parts of Syria and Anatolia as well. In one text, we hear of Sargon's campaign in Anatolia, which was carried out following a request by his merchants there to protect them from the king of Persia Handa. The text also states that Sargon crossed the Mediterranean and ended up in Cyprus during the campaign. Sargon himself allegedly bragged of his military prowess, saying, "In my old age of 55, all the lands revolted against me, and they besieged me in Akkad. But the old lions still had teeth and claws. I went forth to battle and defeated them. I knocked them over and destroyed their vast army. Now any king who wants to call himself my equal, wherever I went, let him go." As fascinating and amusing as it is that 55 was considered old age during Sargon's time, one of the consequences of his conquest was the facilitation of trade. He controlled the cedar forests of Lebanon and the silver mines of Anatolia, which provided him with valuable raw material. These were used for trade with the Indus Valley civilization, as well as people in Oman and along the Gulf. Ultimately, Sargon is said to have died of natural causes, an impressive feat for a man who fought a lifetime of war. After he passed, he was succeeded by his son, Rimush. The empire that he founded lasted for about a century and a half, but it is remembered to this day as one of the first great empires ever established. This, however, was not Sargon's only legacy. This king is also remembered as the one who established a society where the weak were protected. Stories say that during his reign, no one in Sumer had to beg for food and widows and orphans were protected. But rebellions were also a common feature during the king's reign, and as he said himself, his enemies faced a lion with teeth and claws. Sargon the Great wasn't necessarily a hero or a good man, but his empire was considered a golden age for the people compared to what came after it. The end of the Akkadian Empire occurred around 2150 BC. According to traditional accounts, the collapse of the Akkadian Empire was the result of divine retribution. A later king, Naram-Sin, had proclaimed himself a living god, and this was regarded as hubris by many in his own time. Ancient historians considered the extreme pride of Naram-Sin as the cause of the god's anger, who unleashed their wrath on his successors. Modern scholars have put forward a number of other hypotheses in an attempt to make sense of the collapse of the world's first empire. Among others, administrative incompetence, poor harvest, provincial revolt, and a giant meteor have been proposed as the cause of the Akkadian Empire's downfall. In more recent times, the blame has been placed on climate change, and evidence has been provided to support this hypothesis. It's believed that ultimately the Akkadian Empire suffered a long, harsh drought, and this was the cause of its demise. Microscopic analysis of soil moisture collected from Akkadian sites suggests that there was a severe drought starting in 2200 BC. This drought lasted for 300 years, and the researchers believe that this devastated the Akkadian Empire. Signs of this drought are also visible in the archaeological record, where several Akkadian cities in the northern plains were found to have been abandoned suddenly. The migration of peoples to the south is also reported in clay tablets. Incidentally, the researchers did not have a clear idea of the cause of the drought, and factors such as changing wind patterns and ocean currents, as well as a massive volcanic eruption in Anatolia at the beginning of the drought, have been proposed. After the fall of the Akkadian Empire, Mesopotamia was dominated by the barbaric Gutians, though little is known about this period. Around 2100 BC, the third dynasty of Ur came to power, marking a shift in power back to the Sumerians after a period of domination by the Akkadians. Although documents during that time were written in Sumerian once more, the language itself was gradually becoming extinct. Indeed, during the Akkadian period, the Sumerian language was being replaced by the Akkadian language. Thanks to the Akkadian Empire, the language became the dominant tongue of the region and continued to be used by succeeding Mesopotamian civilizations, including the Assyrians and Babylonians, though in modified forms. All in all, in many ways, Sargon was the original conquering warrior king and set in motion a whole chain of events that would echo through the ages for millennia. For 4,500 years his name will echo through history, and chances are his legacy will continue for many centuries to come. But now it's your turn. We'd love to hear from you. Who is your favourite ancient conqueror and why? Let us know in the comments below. To read one of our articles on the life of Sargon the Great, his battles, and the rise and fall of the mighty empire that he built, follow the link below to our Ancient Origins website. Subscribe for more fascinating historical videos like this one. As always, thanks for watching.